You're mid lesson, and one student is drumming on the desk, another's chair is rocking, and you can feel the energy buzzing around the room. You take a deep breath, smile, and think, it's hard to be a verb. Okay, so maybe you don't say those exact words, but I know that you're thinking something along those lines. If you've ever worked with a kid that can't quite sit still, who wiggles and taps and blurts and always seems to be one step ahead, then this story is going to hit home. Today's book is It's Hard to Be a Verb, written by Julia Cook. It helps kids understand what's happening when their bodies move faster than their brains. And it gives us way to teach self-control with empathy, humor, and a little bit of mindful living. I'm Vanessa, educator of 18 years, a licensed kid therapist, and mom coach. Now, based on personal experience as a former second grade teacher, I know that these moments can be really hard. You've tried sticker charts, behavior clips, maybe even incentives, and nothing seems to stick. You said, please sit down about a gazillion times, and it's just starting to sound like background noise. So inside, you may be feeling frustrated, helpless, or even guilty, wondering, why can't they just focus? Kids like Lewis, the main character in this book, it's just that their brains and their bodies are constantly in motion. They're curious, they're energetic, they're creative, but they need a ton of support learning how to pause. It's really not defiance, it's really their development, and they're probably neurodivergent. So that's where this book comes in. It doesn't shame the behavior, it helps everyone just make sense of it. So the story is about Lewis, who is a boy who's always moving, tapping, bouncing, spinning, and just blurting out. His body moves faster than his thoughts, and even when he wants to listen, his attention just has a mind of its own. And the author really does a great job with using rhyme in the story and a certain rhythm that is really catchy for kids. So it says, it's hard to be a verb. My knees start itching, my toes start twitching, my skin gets jumpy, others get grumpy. When it comes to sitting still, it's just not my deal. Haven't you heard? I'm a verb. And it goes on to give different experiences as to when these feelings come up. And what I really appreciate is that Lewis isn't painted as a bad kid. He's just that he's spirited, for lack of a better word, and he's struggling to manage his energy. And then halfway through the book, with his mom's guidance, Lewis learns that he can control his focus, not by forcing himself to be still, but by using tools and strategies to stay ahead of his body. And by the end of the book, Lewis has many more strategies on not necessarily how to become a calm noun per se, but just how to control his actions and again, how to stay ahead of his body. This book works really well for about 6 to 9 years old, so about first grade through fourth grade. The younger kids will love the rhythm and the rhyme and the silly illustrations, while the older kids will really get to connect with the message about self control and focus. And for middle schoolers, believe it or not, you can use it as a reflection prompt, like, remember when school felt like this? And that's a fun way to bridge conversations about attention, executive functioning, and empathy. And the story aligns really well with the social emotional pillars of self awareness and self management skills because Lewis learns to notice what's happening inside his body when his body feels restless, when his thoughts jump too fast, and then when he tries ways to really calm himself down. So, for teachers, I recommend having discussion questions like, when does your body feel like Lewis's body? What helps you to slow down or to refocus and pay attention? Or how can we support others when their energy feels as big as Lewis's energy does? These types of questions can help self control, but they really also bring out empathy. And it's a great reminder for students that everyone experiences energy and attention really differently. Now, teachers can also use this book as a morning meeting read aloud during the first month of school or as close as possible to the beginning of the year to set the tone for emotional regulation. And that way they can revisit the story before high energy transitions or during testing periods, let's say. And especially in second or third grade, when you're learning about different parts of speech, it's a great way to see the word verb in action. And then for school counselors, the story fits in really nicely when you're working with small groups, when you're working on impulse control or on attention goals. And you can pair it with visuals like a feeling thermometer or like an energy meter to really drive the point all the way home. Reflection questions that you can ask are: what's something that your body does when your brain feels too fast? Or what's one way to calm down before your body gets out of control? And if you are a parent or a caregiver and you are to use this book at home, it can turn tense moments into teachable ones. So when kids are bouncing off the walls, instead of yelling, "Stop moving," you can say, "Looks like your body feels like a verb. What do you think would help to slow it down?" And that way it really helps the child, but it also helps you too. And you can pair it with tools like a focus box, like it says in the book, or a calm corner so that you use tools like fidgets or headphones, coloring supplies, bubbles. Remember that the goal isn't to eliminate movement, it's to channel it through something different. Now, what's really awesome about this book is that if you're interested, it has a supplementary teacher's guide, which includes worksheets and group activities and reflection questions that really reinforce the SEL lessons through movement and creativity. Now, things to keep in mind about the supplementary guide, should you choose to get it, is that the worksheets are perfect for like second and third grade, but they may be on opposite ends for kids who are too young or for kids who are too old. Also, while it focuses a lot on behavior, you can deepen it by adding, let's say, mindfulness pauses or emotional check ins before and after the activity so that you're also pulling in that aspect of mindful living. But overall, this supplementary guide really turns the story from just a quick read to a complete mini SEL unit, which gives teachers or counselors practical structure and a lot of creative flexibility, which you can extend the book with. So, what I love most about the book, It's Hard to Be a Verb, is that it just doesn't teach the kids to control themselves. I mean, if it were that easy, they'd all be doing it, right? But it really teaches adults also to see behavior through a lens of compassion, because it reminds us that when kids have so much movement in them, so much curiosity and energy, these are all signs of life, not misbehavior. And when we can pause long enough to understand what a child's body is actually doing is communicating, then what we actually get to do is model mindful awareness in real time. So instead of saying, "Stop moving," we can say, "Let's notice what your body needs." Or instead of saying, "You need to calm down," we can say, "Let's find calm together." So we shift the conversation from control to connection, which is really what mindful teaching and parenting is all about. So remember that the next time you're in your classroom or your living room, or it feels like the special kids in your lives are bouncing off the wall, remember to pause, breathe, and know that it's not chaos. It's just that kids are learning to be verbs. And know that understanding our kids really beats correction, and that empathy outlasts frustration, so that you can connect with these kids in your lives and really make things much more impactful. You can find this book and other Julia Cook favorites linked below, along with some questions that you may use whenever you're talking with your kids or perhaps for your next SEL lesson or family read aloud. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure that you hit subscribe for more SEL book talks designed to bring calm, connection, and learning to life. And check out my other playlists like the Free to Be Mindful podcast or Tea and Takeaways. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, remember that you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next time.